Hi guys, welcome to A Push with Lennox, and today we're talking about English colonization in the Americas. Now the Americas were part of a huge English empire that stretched across the world. In fact, there's an old saying that says the sun never sets on the British Empire. The idea behind this was that England held so much land throughout the world that at some place, somewhere in the world, the sun was always shining on English soil. But in the beginning, really the time period we're in, the late 1500s going into the early 1600s, your question might be, what empire? Because England was really behind all the other colonizing powers of the world, France, Spain, the Dutch, and they were kind of playing catch up. But they're going to find that in 1588, the tide is going to completely turn for them. This is during the Anglo-Spanish War, and in 1588, the unthinkable happened. England defeated the Spanish Armada. The Spanish Armada was seen as the strongest navy in the world, and for England to defeat them, that's going to open up the waterways for them to be able to go out and explore and colonize. Now, they had already kind of tasted colonization at this point. In fact, 3 years earlier, a man by the name of Sir Walter Raleigh is going to finance a colonization expedition over to North America. And that expedition is going to be led by a man by the name of John White. Now, John White is going to take a shipload of family over to a new colony called Roanoke, and they're going to try to establish the very first permanent English settlement. Now remember, this is not the first permanent settlement in North America. That belongs to the Spanish, and that was St. Augustine. But this is the first permanent English settlement. And John White is going to try to lead these people to build this settlement and then grow the English empire from there. Unfortunately, they weren't ready. They weren't prepared. I don't know if they thought they'd find a Walmart on the corner or something, but they just didn't have enough supplies. So what's going to happen is John White is going to head back to England to get more supplies, and then bring those supplies and more colonists back with him to build what they already had. The problem was, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, England was involved in the Anglo-Spanish War. So when White got there with his ships, they're like, you're not going anywhere. We need your ships for the war effort. So he's going to wait 3 years before he actually gets back to Roanoke. And of course, the unthinkable happens when he returns. The colony's gone. Everybody is gone. And there's really no concrete clue as to where they went. It's kind of a historical mystery that we still haven't really solved. I mean, there's a lot of things that we have found over time. There's a lot of theories as to what happened. I think most historians believe that they were either just died there, or natives killed them, or anyone who survived had been absorbed into the Native American tribes. Why do they think that? Well, on one of the posts of the fort that was built, the word Croatoan is going to be written, and then also on a tree nearby, the three letters C-R-O are going to be carved into the tree. Kind of got to assume those are the first three letters of Croatoan. Now, they believe that was a Native American tribe in the area, and like I said, a lot of historians believe that any survivors that were there in Roanoke kind of got absorbed into that tribe. And why they think that is, I believe it was 100, 150 years later, they found some descendants of Native Americans with that DNA who had blonde hair, blue-eyed. And so they assumed that the English intermixed and intermarried into those tribes. But regardless of what happened to Roanoke, they were a failed colony. And John White, well, he didn't just lose his colony, he lost his family. Yeah, the dude left his family in Roanoke as he went back to England to get more supplies. Now, in fairness, he believed that he would be coming back relatively soon, so everything should be fine, but didn't happen that way. In fact, he left a baby daughter behind by the name of Virginia Dare. And Virginia Dare, the first Englishman to be born in the North American colonies, and of course, she didn't survive as far as we know. What's going on over in Europe at this time is going to be a peace between England and Spain. The Treaty of London, also known as the Somerset Treaty, is going to be signed in 1604. You don't necessarily need to know that treaty. What you need to know about it, though, the effect of England and Spain having peace is now England can focus completely on colonization and building that British Empire. The motivation for the English to colonize, no different than the French, the Dutch, or the Spanish. It's God, glory, and gold. But it's different. You see, and I'm going to say this several times throughout our English colonization videos, while the English were happy to share their faith, it wasn't a predominant motivation for them to go and evangelize to the Native Americans. That wasn't the idea of the religious motivation as England came in. It wasn't to evangelize. It was to seek the opportunity to worship freely. And it wasn't everywhere. Let's look at the motivations of English colonization during this time. Number one was economic. It's always economic. And the very first colony, the first permanent successful colony, is going to be based on economics. Mercantilism is running rampant throughout the colonies. England wants to see the colonies provide raw materials back to them that they'll be able to manufacture and sell throughout the world. So economically, mercantilism, number one. Number two, opportunity to own land. You have a lot of men in England who are not able to own land for a lot of different reasons. One of the biggest ones is that theory or that idea of primogeniture, that only the eldest son inherits the holdings of the father. Well, if you were born second, third, fourth, wherever down the line, if you're not number one, you're the biggest loser, obviously. And so what's going to happen is North America is going to open up this opportunity for land ownership that they're never going to have back in England. So that's going to drive a lot of young men to come over to the English colonies. Now, like I said, there was religious motivation to colonize, and you're going to see that more in the New England region. You see, as you know, what you're going to have in England is you're going to have Protestantism running wild, and the Church of England is going to be tied to the crown. And a lot of people are going to have trouble with the Church of England, whether they want to separate from it or make it different or make it better. And those people aren't going to be satisfied religiously in England, so they're going to seek other places that they can go and worship the way they feel they need to. And that's where North America is going to open up a lot of opportunities for them. Socially, politically, there's other driving factors that bring people over here. Adventure is a big one. Look, I mean, think about it. You're a young man. You can't go any further than you have in England at this point. And this whole new world has opened up across the ocean where not only can you own land, but you can tame the land and you can deal with the natives and you can see things that you would never see if you stayed in England. So that blood of an adventurer just flows through a lot of people, and that's why they came here. And then as England starts to expand their empire, what you're finding is they need to protect their empire. So they need to establish colonies in order to build military posts to protect their holdings throughout the world. So that's kind of the idea behind why England came to North America to colonize. And what we're going to look at over this next few videos is the different regions that colonized in the Americas. Because those 13 colonies were very different from one another, and it all was based on where you settled. The first group of colonies we're going to look at is going to be the southern colonies, and that's going to be in our next video. So I hope you learned a little something. If not, like I say, go back and watch it again. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.